American economy is the strongest in the world now, but where it's headed in the future, always open to debate. One person who has direct input in how things will play out is the president of the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank.
He recently sat down with Dan Godwin to talk interest rates, oil prices, and more for tonight's Fox Forward.
And it's great to welcome Rob Kaplan. Since September of last year, he has served as president of the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks. Good to see you, Dan.
So one of the things you do is serve on the Federal Open Market Committee along with Fed Chair Janet Yellen and others. And back in December, the committee voted to increase this key interest rate 1/4%, first interest rate increase in 10 years.
Several years, yeah.
And soon after that, you have all the stock market volatility and the global economy starts to really slow. There's all these kinds of concerns. Did that interest rate hike cause any of this or contribute to the?
So it's interesting, between the time of the FOMC meeting and December 31st.
The Open Market Committee meeting.
Yeah, the commentators were saying the market reaction has been positive, in quotes. Then what happened in January is you had China devalue. And
its
they had
currency.
Its currency.
Yeah.
And then they had substantial declines in their stock market, and they put on circuit breakers, which made the declines worse. And so I think the punchline is the effort to try to normalize monetary policy is not going to be a straight line. It's not going to be linear. It's going to be, after all these years at near zero interest rates, I think it's going to require patience and vigilance, and it's going to be complicated.
Okay, so the committee meets again March 15th and 16th in Washington.
We meet 8 times a year.
8 times a year. So is this next meeting, will there be an interest rate?
Well, I try to stay out of the business of forecasting what we're going to do in any meeting. My own view, and I've said this publicly, is I think in light of the tightening financial conditions, my own view is we should be patient in this period before taking further action, and that would be my view.
Sometimes online you read these articles by what seemed like credible people,
sure.
and some of them are predicting we're heading for a recession.
Right. My own view is, because of the strength of the consumer, I don't believe we're heading for a recession. I think the economy will be resilient in 2016. While the strength of the dollar and lower oil prices have hurt manufacturers, particularly here in Texas, it's been a boon and helpful to consumers. And so we see that in consumer spending, and I think the consumer is strong, and therefore I don't think we're going to have a recession this year.
The North Texas economy, is it still outperforming the rest of the country?
It's not outperforming anymore. It's been, because energy is still only 2% of employment and 10% of GDP, but that's been enough, and the ripple effects of that have been enough to slow down the economy. We still think, though, that job growth in 2016 will be somewhat in excess of 1%. And I'd be remiss in saying this is a very resilient economy, very diversified. Dallas, San Antonio, Austin have been very strong, but in and around Houston has obviously been much weaker because of energy, and that's created some headwind for the state. The surprise to me is not that the state has slowed. The surprise to me is the state has been as strong as it's been in light of the shock from energy.
Rob Kaplan, president of the Dallas Federal Reserve Bank.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you so much for the chat.
All right, good to talk.